you have stated to the people in the next 24 months, you're going to get to $100 million. I want to know how you're going to do it.
I don't know.
I still don't know what you do.
Neither do I. That's what but I'm so curious.
You've gotten sued by Hershey's.
Yeah, it is the biggest headache ever.
How much money have you raised to date?
$40. That's a lot of fucking money.
What?
I agree. That's why I eat dog shit all day. When I just had it now, I want more now. I want more because it's fucking good.
I definitely agree with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Don't Be Sour, the most functional podcast in the world. This one, number 25, with Mr. Jake Carls, one of the co-founders and owners of Midday Squares. What's up, man?
I just got off a plane, canceled flight, fired up. This is very serendipitous right now.
Yeah.
Wasn't supposed to be here tonight.
It's 11:30 at night, by the way.
12:30 my time.
Yeah.
And I still got to go to Austin tonight by 4 a.m. and I got to drive there. So I'm fired up to be here. It's going to be a little break from plane 5 hours to drive 3 hours and just energy here.
You're from Canada, so why are you in the States?
So we're going to Snow's Barbecue Pit, which is a famous barbecue pit, I think. My sister's a big fan of it. And we're going to meet the Whole Foods team there, some of our favorite fans there. And we want to just create a bigger bond. We really want to create a bigger bond with them. We work with them. They're amazing for us. But, there's nothing like being friends with the teams you work with.
Yeah.
It helps so much in retail. I always tell people, stop with all the serious stuff. Stop with focusing on just trade promos, this, that, and like all email driven. I get on fucking FaceTimes with my buyers and my team there. And it's not just the buyers. You need managers of the stores, the people at different levels in the marketing department. So I focus specifically, I like to say, make friends first, then do business with them. And this is similar to what we're doing. So we're going to a barbecue pit at 4 a.m, going to sit in line for 6 hours together.
For barbecue?
For barbecue. I never had barbecue. So
it's pretty cool.
In Canada, we don't do barbecue.
You don't do?
No, we do ice and like ice cream,
Okay, I don't know how you compare ice cream. We do ice cream or barbecue.
No, we do poutines. You ever heard of poutine?
Yeah, it's like the gravy. It's on the
gravy,
French fries.
cheese.
It's honestly kind of gross.
Yeah, it's nasty.
I mean, it's interesting that the Whole Foods buyers, you think Whole Foods like fancy, and then they're like, yeah, meet us at the barbecue pit.
So this Whole Foods team member is a legend. I think he's actually Canadian, like he's born in Canada.
Yeah.
He's been there for like 28 plus years and he's just a move and groover and he loves food. He's a passion for food and like he's the nicest guy I've ever met in this entire industry. And he's like, you need to come to this spot. You need to try it. And he's healthy and all that shit. But he's like, if you're coming to Austin, we need to go do something that's really fun, food related, and just like have a vibe.
You're like, I've only had ice, but I'm ready to have some barbecue.
Yeah.
You're going to have a great time, man. Yeah, this was serendipitous. I slid into your DMs. I saw you were in the airport. I was like, made a joke, come to my podcast. And he's like, I actually missed my flight. I'm going to be in Houston. Can you do the podcast tonight in 4 hours?
You're like, how soon? And I'm like, tonight is good. And you're like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go.
I'm excited, man. Let's kind of dive into it. I like to start, even though I said you're one of the owners of Midday, I like to start with, like, who are you? What do you do? And I kind of word this in, let's say you're in a car, like an Uber somewhere, and someone's just like, hey, like, what do you do for work? Like, what do you do? Like, what is your pitch to people?
I'm a rainmaker.
That's what you say?
I literally say I'm a rainmaker and people go, what does that even mean? And the first thing I say is I build networks and then bring them to my team. So for example, I have a finance team, you have a sales team, you have a marketing team. They all need certain things. Now what I can do is I'm a loud person. I like social media. I like to tell stories. What I do is I utilize that to then make a relationship with whatever team it is. If it's a buyer, if it's an investor, then when my team needs it, I then have that relationship to give them the execution to do. So it's like the friend is going to now come to Midday Squares and have a friendship rather than this is just transactional. So my whole job day to day is to simply build the Midday Squares network in journalism, retail, investing, and internal team members. So new team members. That's what I do every day.
So you would tell the Uber driver that and they'd be like, I still don't know what you do.
Yeah, no.
You say you own a chocolate company?
I say I own a chocolate company, especially with customs agents. When I go back to Canada, you always have to go through customs, right?
They grill you in those things.
But they don't grill me because they're a lot of the time their partners, their significant others, eat our squares. So they're like, oh, you own a chocolate company? What's it called? And I go, oh, Midday Squares. Like, oh my God, it's in our fridge. So they're like, okay, just go. Everyone else is getting smoked, grilled, pulled in. Me, I'm going in flying colors, guns blazing. No, not with guns,
it's
but
with the funky sunglasses. That's what gets you in.
Yeah, funky sunglasses and just being authentic. I think people get nervous. I don't know why people get so nervous around customs agents. Me, it's like
it's because when you go there, they're like where are we coming from? You're, Canada or something. Like, how long are you there? I was like, 4 days. Like, what were you doing specifically? Like, where were you? What hotel did you stay at? And you're like, you're starting to get stressed out. You're like, I don't even know. I might actually be a terrorist.
Yeah, but they actually convince you
Yeah.
to feel like you're a terrorist.
Yeah.
And I think that the problem with it is like my girlfriend, she freaks. She starts sweating and stuff. I'm like, I'm like, what's going on? Like, why are you being different? And she's like, they're making me feel different. And I'm like,
they're good at their jobs, I guess.
Yeah, I guess just tell me you own a candy company. You'll be just fine.
That's what I say. So when you dive in, can you explain to people what is midday squares? Because hopefully the world is very aware of it.
Getting there.
But what is it, dude?
So in Canada, we have great dominance in terms of awareness and stuff like that. US, we started to come into last year, which is exciting. And now we're starting to take over slowly. We're seeing our turns go up. We're seeing our velocities in the store. We're also seeing our community build in the United States. But basically what Midday Squares is it's your afternoon chocolate snack. That's an indulgence, but it's also functional in the sense where it keeps you full for 3 to 4 hours. It's good amount of protein, good fiber, good fats. But the kicker is it's not for like necessarily the person working out. That's great and all it could be, but it's for that person that's at their office every day that wants something a little healthier, but that also tastes fucking epic and has a little bit more than just chocolate. Because if you go get a Lindt bar, they taste good, don't get me wrong, but you're hungry in 5 minutes or it's a lot of sugar, right? So for us, what we focus on is can we make a chocolate bar that gets you through your afternoon, but you don't feel bloated, you don't feel nauseous, you don't feel like it tastes like cardboard. A lot of bars taste like cardboard.
Yeah.
So that's what we built. And we call it Midday Squares because we wanted people to know that it's a midday snack and they're square formatted. So took that from the 5-hour energy model. You know what that is when you see it.
Do people ever go like, it's a midday square. Can I have it in the morning?
You have no idea. Can we have it in the morning? Can I have it at night? So it's like, yes, we're telling them the use case, but we're like, yo, you could have it. It could be the morning square. It could be the night square. It could be your, after whatever you do square. And that's a problem.
Let me ask you here. You mentioned keeps you full for 3 to 4 hours. Where is this scientific data coming from?
So we don't have official scientific data.
The other owner just ate it. It was like, hey, 3 hours.
Well, you know what it was? No, when we were creating it, when you have like a good balance of high fat, good amount of protein and a clean source of fiber, it actually slowly digests in your system.
Yeah.
We're investing in those data things. It obviously, when we started 4 years ago, we didn't have the capital to do that. You need to commission schools. You need to do all these things. We did work with McGill University, which is a very well-known university in Canada. And they helped us actually make the product. And that was one of their missions was to say, how can we, satiate your hunger levels? And obviously we couldn't put a medical claim on that. And especially in the US, I think they're very strict. People like to play games and sue each other. In Canada, it's not so much like that, but we will eventually have that claim because if you see the packaging on the top, it says satisfies hunger. And that's a big selling point for our product because again, people have a problem in the afternoon. They eat and then they eat again and then they eat again.
That's me.
Yeah, that's me too. So then I just have this instead and it solves my hunger crisis for 2-3 hours. Me, it's 2 to 3. My girlfriend's, it's 4. So I think that's where we're getting a lot of repeat customers from the taste and from the idea that it actually does what it says it does.
I think it also, if people tell you it does something, a lot of times the mind game, I'm big in the bro world of the bro diet, we'll call it, right? And for the longest time, there's this big battle between white rice, brown rice. And everyone would always say the brown rice because it has the fiber, it has the grain still in there. Brown rice is going to keep you full for longer versus the white rice because it's going to get broken down faster. It's because it's, your body's going to break it down faster. So when I would eat the brown rice, I was like, yeah, I'm full for longer. But I was like, I don't know if I actually am full for longer, but I believe myself. But so this bar, one thing that stood out to me. So the way I want to give the background about how I found out about you guys. I DM'd you about a year ago in July because some sort of, I don't know if it was a random YouTube. I spent a lot of time on YouTube. I watch a lot of videos, consume a lot of content. And some random video from you guys popped up. And as myself in the CPG space, consumer packaged goods, it's a buzzword I like to say a lot. It stood out to me because I was like, this is different. Like this is the way that they're the branding, the storytelling, and something that I like is I love the name Midday Squares because it literally tells you what it is. And that's very similar to kind of like sour strips. It's like what the product is. Like did you have any other names when you were thinking of it? I mean, I know your sister and your brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law, yeah. They actually, when they were, because I joined in before launch. So basically, the kicker is my sister was making this snack for her husband, my brother-in-law, because he had a chocolate addiction and he was eating, a lot of sugary chocolates and it was making him crash in the afternoon. So she used plant-based ingredients and created some darker chocolate that was actually just higher in antioxidants, was better for you, and gave it to him for 2 years prior to Midday Squares. So it was just a hobby snack. And then when they wanted to do something together, they were looking at different industries and food was both their passions. And they originally started with overnight oats as one of the products, and they realized they could make something better. Then they received a report from one of my brother-in-law's cousins from a big company that showed that real chocolate, so darker chocolate, so our chocolate's 87%, it's dark chocolate, was growing at like 40+% year over year. And that vegan protein, so plant proteins, were growing at like 30+% year over year. Those are two massive categories of growth. And then it clicked in my brother-in-law's head, oh my God, you're making a baby of these two massive categories. Let's use this as the product. Then they approached me and they're like, we have this delicious product, it's ready to go. We know that you love to make noise, you tell a great story, you know how to get attention.
Wait, hold on. But before you enter into the business, so Les is your sister, right? And Nick is your brother-in-law, and they're married, obviously. Yeah. So it's a strange concept to me. She was just making chocolate bars in her kitchen. Is that normal? I'm not a big chocolate guy, to be honest. So
I'm actually a candy guy, like you. But yes, she was making it like it didn't look the same, but it was like higher in sugar. It was a little different. It was less commercialized.
I've never heard of someone just making chocolate at their house.
She loved experimenting. So she would get ingredients from South America. She would try all these things. And she was a real big foodie. She had a lot more time on her hands to do it. And then he would bring it to his office. He had a software company at the time and then he sold it. But they would freak for it. The whole team would eat it. And they were like, this is unbelievable. Tell Leslie to keep making these products. And then when I tried it, again, I don't like dark chocolate. Yeah. I started to like it. I was like, this is weird. I was like, I'm usually a milk chocolate dude. I like this. And that's when I said to them, I said, I don't really want to join the company because they asked me to join as a third partner. I said, the reason why I don't want to join is because if you go to the grocery store, there's 30 to 40,000 products on a shelf. Go to Target, go to Walmart, go to anywhere.
Especially in the chocolate section.
Yeah. There's so many brands. And I said, the one thing that didn't connect with me was that when you go to the store, you walk the aisles, the fridges, nothing felt emotionally connected to myself. But when I go to a clothing store, or when I go to a cosmetic store and watch my girlfriend in there, there's like an emotional connection where people are obsessed with the brands. Mm-hmm. People have this community feel. I felt food didn't have that. So I was like, that's a good and a bad thing. But I said from a bad standpoint, it's like, it doesn't seem so fun to go into this industry and make noise in it because it's like, it's still archaic in my opinion. There was like some brands that were doing a great job. So I said to them, you know what? Actually, this is an opportunity. If we can make noise, build that emotional connection in the grocery store with the consumer, then we could do something extremely different and win at a very high level, especially with chocolate. Yeah. Take chocolate, you take storytelling, you put it on social media in a very emotionally formatted way. You could build a fan base, right? Instead of customers, you're building fans. And that's when I pitched them before signing the contract as the third partner. I said, we're going to create a reality show on entrepreneurship. We're going to take cameras and we're going to keep them rolling 24/7 in our personal lives, in our business lives, and we're going to show the good, the bad, the ugly. So I mean like therapy sessions, breakdowns, legal battles.
I see you guys crying on the internet.
And that's real. That's not even bullshit. Yeah. So like what's cool about it is that idea was like, at first then they were like, they're introverts and they're like, hell no, we're not getting on camera. I was like, listen, then I'm not joining because at the end of the day, I know the only way we're going to be able to blow it out is you need product market fit. That's the most important. But the second thing you need is how do you get the consumer's attention? You know this because you're a creator. You understand how storytelling works. You understand how that could build fandom. I said, why don't we do that as a CPG brand? And then we started rolling the cameras and our first hire was a videographer. And that started documenting the story. Today, we have over 50,000 videos of every moment that's happened from, like I said, legal battles to raising money to dealing with the retailers to having machines break down because we own our own manufacturing.
I've probably consumed, what would you call me? I watch from afar. I consume all your guys' content. I've probably seen all of your podcasts. I've gone back and watched all your YouTube videos because there's not a lot of brands that are doing what you're doing, and it's very relatable to me, but I think it's very relatable to people because with what you said, people love these big conglomerate brands that have been around that they grew up on. But if they don't feel a connection to it. They don't have anything to connect to it because it's just this mysterious, bear or
Just
logo
legacy.
or something. Yeah, it's like you just assume it's people in suits making this stuff, and it's just cool to see people like kind of going against that and be like, hey, I'm gonna go against these, because it's not every day that people go into the chocolate business, the candy business. Now, did she, like when she was making this candy, or this I call chocolate
Confection.
candy.
It's confection. Yeah.
Did she always like, I'm making this just for my husband, or like I'm making this because I want to start a business of this, or would you put that kind of
Just for
seed in her
herself
head?
and her husband? She was making because she liked dark chocolate and she liked testing plant-based ingredients.
And you were like, you should sell this shit.
No, they came to me and they're like, yo, we want to join the company as a third partner. I was like, no, I actually rejected for 3 months because I was throwing parties on college campuses and selling little clothing like sweatshirts like this. And I was having the time of my life. I was like literally running, think about it, parties of thousands of people. I was having so much fun. I was losing so much money, but I was having the time of my life. And the reason why the parties were working is because I used storytelling. I used Snapchat at the time to tell that story, and people loved it. They would watch it and they'd be like, I want to come, I want to come, I want to come. Then I ended up going to NFL camps. It was a whole thing. And that's what they saw. They're like, we need this for our business. We have a product now. We need you to do that for the business. And I was like, at first I was like I said, food's boring to me. I think it's gotten a lot better over time. There's more brands like us have created, us. There's many other ones that have now taken storytelling to a different level. And I think that that's where the future of food's going to go, is great products that can challenge the legacy brands. But the only way they'll be able to challenge them is not by capital. It's not by legal battles. You're going to challenge them by being able to get the consumer's attention and heart. Because at the end of the day, like what I've noticed is people tell us that they're actually switching from a Hershey, for example, to this because they want a better for you option and they want to be able to know what the brand's about. They want to know who's the brand. What can I get excited about? Can I get behind it? Can I invest in it one day?
And people are, it's not that they need to know exactly who you are. Like, I'm buddies with Jake, but they're like, this is someone, like there's someone behind this. Whereas Hershey, with any brand, they're going to buy it. Like, they don't know who they're supporting. And this way, I think people can feel like they're supporting something rather than just buying a product. Like they're supporting someone trying to build something. Whereas like the other ones are like, they've already built it. I'm just a consumer to these people.
Dude, thesis day one was what I said to them is August 4th, 2018. I'll never forget. That was the day we launched. I said, we are going to make our fans come into the store and feel like they're buying from a friend.
Yeah.
They're going to feel like they're buying from Jake, Nick, and Leslie, and then the Midday Squares crew. And the way we do that is to just create a story that they could be part of the journey. And it's not complex. I think every brand can do this. I think they don't have to necessarily go as aggressive as us on content and maybe as aggressive as you, because we actually appreciate and invest tremendous amounts into content. You do as well.
Yeah.
I think they just need to find their authentic story, whatever that is. It could be about sports nutrition. It could be about the gyms. It could be about, traveling the world. But people like authenticity. They like to be, it's relatable. It's like, when you see a lot of things on social media, most of the time it's actually fake or it's people striving for perfection when reality it's not perfect. So when you give that authenticity or that transparency, the consumer feels way more attached and way more inclined to want to go share the product with their family, their friends on their social media because they're proud. They feel part of. And I think brands don't do that today. Well, Hershey's, it would be way too hard.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, so something that's very interesting to me is seeing brands like, I guess the only ones I could really even say would be like you, and we were talking about Tara Bosch with Smart Sweets. Now, my growth pattern with Sour Strips is unique because I had a large following to catapult the
attention.
Attention, like the springboard to get it going, right? And now it's very much I always like to say that there's like probably more people that are eating it that don't know who I am than know who I am, which is great, right? So I had this kind of springboard to start my company. With you guys, it's even more admirable in my mind because you've built something so amazing. Tara and you guys, because y'all aren't influencers. You didn't have that. So what did you do in the earlier stages? Is it literally just a friend of a friend told a friend of a friend and you started that? Like what was your springboard to really get traction? Because now you're a big deal. And like you started with, we don't know anyone. We don't have influencers. We don't have friends with millions of followers. Like, how did you start building
Great question, because you had the other approach. You've built a fan base and they've supported you probably as soon as you catapulted it off the ground. Now you have many people that eat your product. But for us, we realized that we didn't have what you had, and you worked really hard on that. What we had was, a couple of friends we could try the product, talk about it, maybe share it on their socials. They had 500 followers, 200 followers. At the time I had 400 followers or something, 0 on LinkedIn, 400 on Instagram. My partners had like 300. And what we said is, if we just tell the story, we show people everything. Like take the curtain behind the scene. You could see the glass door of everything other than how we make the product. You're going to be curious because you're going to be like, what is this company? What are they doing? And where I got this from is I looked at the ratings from Shark Tank in that time, and it was on fire. They were literally growing like crazy. And the reason why was because entrepreneurship started to become celebritized, similar to what chefs were being celebritized in the early 2000s. Think about like the Food Network and all that stuff. Gordon Ramsay. They became massive, right? And then you look at Kardashians, the show, and people love it because of the drama. The ratings were crazy. The TV ratings were wild. And then I looked at Elon Musk's, his social media following on like Twitter and all that stuff, and it was growing. And what I realized about him was his boldness and his unapologeticness that people loved. They either loved or hated him, but he created a fan base that ended up becoming basically Tesla's marketing engine. Yeah. He is Tesla's marketing engine. He creates noise. It grabs attention. Media talks about him. It's just a recycling circle, right? So I said, if we take these 3 big categories and we make a baby with them, we take the drama from Kardashians, we're a family business, they're married, my sister and brother are married, I'm a brother. There's some really drama relationships there. If we take the entrepreneurship and show the depth of it, so instead of Shark Tank just showing basics, let's go show everything other than how we physically make the product, because that's a trade secret. And then if we become ourselves, we're very big characters each internally. Yeah. If we let that out, that would not look like a typical executive. And that's what started to propel a fan base slowly, very slowly. 5 views, 50 views, 100 views. People started posting about it, being curious. Then we started to celebritize ourselves way more, starting to speak at gigs, started to speak at office lunch and learn, schools. And that started propelling, again, more fandom, more celebrity status. And then I started to utilize LinkedIn as a platform. And I realized, okay, like this is not just a corporate platform.
I've never used LinkedIn for any like business related.
This is what I thought it was. Yeah. And then I started posting dance videos, fucked up shit. And it started going from 10 views, 500 views. This is a year ago. To now minimum between 25,000 to 150,000 minimum organically.
LinkedIn is popping.
I went from 0 to 18,000 followers within a year. But the kicker of it is I've gotten speaking gigs from it, paid speaking gigs. I've gotten investors, all our investors from there. I've gotten retailers and journalists. So I started to realize that, holy shit, if you just act like a fucking rock star, if you treat yourself like a rock band and you do photo shoots, do all this shit, people are eventually going to be like, okay, who are these people? What are they doing?
LinkedIn people are probably like, hey, Johnson, when you're done with that that report over there, come check out this guy with the funky sunglasses. He is just a hoot.
Yeah, he's a weirdo. And but eventually they couldn't stop and watch, right? Because it was like different, right? And that's what applied to our storytelling, allowed us to celebritize ourselves. I'm not saying we have big followings. We have 90,000, 87,000 on Instagram, 30,000 on TikTok.
Don't downplay yourself. I mean, it's
but
sick,
it
man.
Drives views. Yeah. And then those views then sell the product at our retailers, which is the craziest thing because they're fans. They've actually become massive fans. And that's why what we get to do is like, we'll go to a conference and they'll all take pictures with us because they're like, you guys are rock star entrepreneurs. And I don't say this with an ego. I say this because we're just being ourselves. And if I get on stage and I go speak at a conference with 10,000 people, I'm making them do the YMCA before I get on there. Yeah. They're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? It's weird. It's different, but they all get up.
We actually did the Cupid Shuffle before this. He made me do it. And it's so interesting, man, because, I think some people, the fact that y'all have built what you've built, even in the following you've built with Midday Squares without having a springboard is very, very impressive because not that what I do is easy and it took me, 7 years of building an audience to have the ease of launching a company with an audience, right? It's just a kind of a different game. And when I see companies like that, I'm just like, because it's sick, man. And when you guys started, did you just start with trying to do it online or did you go straight into retail?
Online. So
It's a bitch.
It's a bitch. We thought, okay, so our first goal was hit $250,000 of revenue in our first year. Okay. That was the goal, run rate, not even hit it final. And what that meant was, how would we do it? The first thing we did was, okay, well, we got to get people trying the product. They don't know us. We don't have a network. We don't have a fan base, right? So what we did is we put the product up. It was a 2 square at the time, so it's not the single. Now it's singles.
Yeah,
but
this is new in the single one, right?
Yeah, it's single now, which is way better in our opinion. But at the time, it was double, and it was a $4 product. We sold a sample online for 25 cents. All we wanted was the credit card. So that means shows you that you commit to it. And then we would go hand deliver it in the city of Montreal. That's where we're from, Montreal, Canada. And we would go from 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. delivering because we couldn't afford shipping. So people would then see the founders come to their door.
How do you know how far away they're going to be when they order it?
We'd map it. So my brother-in-law is a software engineer.
Okay.
So he would map it all out, and it would be about like it would literally be like a 40 house route in Montreal region. And we would literally go 5, 10 p.m. And sometimes we'd go in the house, have tea with the customers. But the idea was they would see us delivering and they'd be like, okay, I just spent 25 cents on this bar and it's being delivered with a Polaroid picture of the three of us. And they're like, okay, well, we're actually starting to get to know you and you're human. And that started to create buzz. People started saying, oh my God, look at this picture. Look, they're here, blah, blah, blah. And that led one thing to another with the social media then showing all the content. People were like, wow, this is actually working. Suddenly, the online program started to really go. The volume started to pick up. And we had to increase the sample price from 25 cents to $1, $1.50. And then eventually went to the $4 range. And then we stopped selling that because we were burning so much money doing it that we ended up just selling a 12-pack on the website. And then our first retailer came a month and a half in. And it was a bagel shop, a corner bagel shop. A friend of ours took a chance and the velocities were so high that a salad bar then asked us, then a gym asked us, then all these people. So we started
the word of mouth, man.
It's the word of mouth. And then last year we were about a 50% business, 50% D2C, 50% wholesale.
That's still very impressive because the online's it's a bitch.
And these are refrigerated, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder to ship, especially one day express. And then just last month, we closed our D2C business for temporary close for every region but Quebec and Ontario. And the reason being is because the outbound freight is out of control and it's burning. That's where we're burning our money is on the outbound freight. So our business at scale, we want it to be about an 80-20, 80% retail, 20% D2C. And the D2C is just for loyal fans that want to buy bulk, stuff like that, or people that want to try and don't want to leave their house. Mm-hmm. The idea is like, we could use Instacart, we could use these things to push people to retailers. If we have 4,500 stores, think about it, across North America, why not utilize those as DC centers? It's way cheaper to get the consumer to be driven there to get their product, whether that's physically or through their online programs, than to have them buy from us, which again, to ship to Texas, where we are right now in Houston, for our midday squares to ship you one box would be like $40. That's crazy.
Yeah. Do you have to do anything special to ship chocolate?
Insulated. It needs to be insulated and has ice packs.
How much does the package cost? Not even talk about the shipping. How much is the package of the shipping? All the things that need to go into the shipping.
It adds up. It's not the ice pack alone's $1. Then the installation's probably another $1.50.
And your margin ain't shit on these.
No,
bro.
No. So that's why the online business till the outbound freight is fixed, it doesn't make sense right now, and that's why we're going a little bit. I mean,
retail's the future. Retail's the future.
I believe that,
and I definitely agree with that. And what is something you said about how having to ship to America? What do you think the biggest struggle is of starting the company in Canada? Because I don't know if you know this. I don't know if the people know this. Here's a little fun fact for you. There are more people in the state of California than there are in the entire country of Canada, right? And that's why with my company, I get asked all the time, when are you going to come to Canada? When are you coming to Canada? And I'm like, until I can master the United States, I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to try to master another country. But you guys, you need to come to America. Like for you to really, I'm assuming there's some amazing CPG brands that are only in Canada, maybe, but there's only so many consumers to buy, right? So like, what was your biggest struggle when you knew that like we have to go to America, and like how is that going to impact the cost and how we're going to do that?
Dude, we didn't want to go to the US right away. We wanted to really build a pumping Canadian business that was driving a ton of cash so that we could fund
America?
No, I love America, actually. I do want to become a citizen. If you know someone that could get me citizenship, I would be happy.
I know a guy knows a guy.
Yeah, there we go. No, so when we launched, it was Canada first, and that's our backyard. And we are a self-manufacturer. So remember that. We couldn't co-pack our product. It's very unique. It's very artisanal, believe it or not. How do you make it? So when we started, we couldn't just third-party it and say, okay, hey, take our manufacturing and we'll just take care of sales and marketing. We had to go build a factory, which costed $4 million of custom machinery that had to be built. Think about it, custom. No one has this machinery in the world other than our machine maker, obviously. But we had to go across to Europe, United States, Canada to get these machines built. It took 3.5 years. We just got our last machine a month and a half ago. So that's a crazy time. So our growth, we had to control it, because if you don't control it, if If you don't just say, okay, I'm maxing out 100% year over year and I'm minimum at 50% year over year, you'll shoot yourself in the foot because the product quality will go down. Your team will burn out. And we just got our packaging machine literally a month and a half ago.
Your horizontal flow wrapper. I saw that. I'm aware of it.
Dude, we were hand packing every day. We had 40 people hand packing. You know how much money that is burning?
Yeah.
So the reason why we stayed in Montreal is because the Quebec government, where that's our state government or provincial, if you want to call it, funded it. They funded the plant to stay there. And basically they debt funded it at a very inexpensive interest rate. And it was almost like we couldn't not take that deal because it was our hometown. It was literally to have the backing set, the POs they were putting down for us. They basically got that plant built. The problem with it was the shipping was hard. And the second thing is in Canada, you can only grow so much. There's 3 massive retailers. There's only 3 big ones that basically control the entire country. You have obviously some independents and stuff like that do a very good job, but 3. And after that, you have to do either more products lines or more SKUs or, acquire businesses to keep growing, or you go to the shiny United States. And for us, a year and a half ago, our VP of sales at the time took a deal with Sprouts. And Sprouts is an amazing retailer. We love them. Yeah. But she took a deal nationwide when our strategy was to go region by region. Originally was say, okay, California, let's win in California. Then go to Texas, win at Texas, win in New York, even if it took 5 years. But when we got Sprouts, it put us in 23 states. So we had no choice but to then go out and win those states and wherever the product was. So we started opening up retailers around there. We started putting influencers on it. We started putting marketing budgets. And a reason why a lot of Canadian companies don't come to the United States is because it's very capital intensive to support the business here. If you want to support a massive retailer, you can't just let the product sit there unless you have that awareness, unless you have that attention, unless you have the fandom. Otherwise, it's just going to sit on the shelf and you're hoping that a customer walks by it and says, oh, look at that new product. I want to try it. That happens. But that's not going to drive velocities to the levels that you and I want. We want crazy velocities. We want to be the number one, right?
It would actually be detrimental for a company to just try to go into retail immediately out of the gate because you're literally just hoping that people think your packaging looks cool enough, which that will happen, but it's going to happen a whole lot faster if you have an army of people that are spread word of mouth of like that know about the brand.
Dude, and that's what I'm saying. And like then we launched and things started going well. Then we got Whole Foods. We got 5 regions in Whole Foods. Then we had like the Foxtrots, the Central Markets take us on, and then Target came on, and that was a nationwide launch this year, like 2 weeks ago. And that was our biggest account. And we now have to support it, right? So we have to come up with creative ways of supporting it. Obviously, we don't have the budgets of $5, $10, $20 million to go spend on marketing. We have to do it ourselves and figure out how do we activate our armies? How do we get this? But again, this comes back to building fans, not customers. Your storytelling, your connections of building that emotional connection will drive sales, but you need to build that and you need to consistently invest in that content creation. You can't just put content out, a campaign out, and think that that's going to sell your product. That doesn't work. You need to consistently fuel your fan base. And
I mean, you said that, you spent so much money on all this machinery because you manufacture in-house. Is there a reason why you didn't want to just, not necessarily just build a brand, but you can get co-manufacturers that you could give the recipe. They potentially could do it, and then you could have take the stress off your plate of, hey, Jay, can you come in the back real fast? The machine is leaking oil. Like, we have to fix this,
Yeah, dude, great question. So we went to 26 of the bar manufacturers, United States, Canada, Europe, and they all told us the same thing. Either you change the product and we'll do it, because our chocolate's very unique. We use cocoa butter as the base, and it's very complex with the machines. So either change the ingredient deck or you invest the machines in our facility and we'll take care of everything else.
So like if you build out a line in our machine, in our facility.
And it still has to be custom made because we have to figure out how to build it, right? It's not just, it took years of engineering to figure out because it's very artisanal, our product actually on the double stack, because it's a dough bottom with a chocolate top. Most protein bars or chocolate bars are enrobed chocolate with 1 millimeter thick, thin chocolate. It's usually artificial. And then protein bars are filled sometimes with chocolate, or you have the typical Lindt chocolate bar, which is just the square, which is very easy to make. So for ours, it was like slapping those two things on the dough and the chocolate top was very difficult for them. So we said, screw it, why don't we make our own factory? Yes, it's going to be a huge headache. It is the biggest headache ever in the world.
I can imagine.
Because you can't just focus on the manufacturing, but you can't just focus on brand. You have to do both, right? So if you forget about the brand, the products won't sell as much. If you forget about the manufacturing, your margin won't get to where it needs to get to. And then guess what? Your company closes. So you need to balance the both. But for right now, the priority right now is operational excellence, because if we get to our margin that we need to get to, we'll be able to print enough cash to keep coming in the business and not have to raise so much money from venture funds and stuff like that, because we're in this the long game. We actually want to build this, past 100 million in revenue. We want to go to maybe 200, 300, 400 under chocolate, not just the squares, but we want to acquire chocolate companies. We want to do all these things. We need to be very cash flow positive. We need to have a lot of cash. We need to have a ton of backing. And we also need to have the ability to scale. By owning our manufacturing, we could scale very quickly over time. The problem is getting there is grunt work. It's like dog shit, eating dog shit every day.
Okay. And how many stores are you guys in at the moment?
4,500 stores across Canada, US.
That's a lot.
And we don't want more right now. So that's the goal right now. And in the US, you have like the Wegmans, you have Fresh Time, Fresh Market, Whole Foods, 5 regions, Target nationwide, Sprouts nationwide. And then in Canada, we have all the mainstream and stuff like that. But just win those is the priority right now. Nothing else.
I don't know if it what's something, one of the biggest, I hate talking, dude. One of the biggest reasons why I'm so infatuated with you guys and your company is that y'all are actually, I don't know if you know this, you're almost at the exact same point that I am with Sour Strips in terms of stores you're in, years in business, around the same revenue. Like y'all, we're similar, and that's what's like it. That's what makes me even more interested in it, because I'm like, they're like right where I'm at. Like we're fighting the same fight together. Like we're in the trenches. And, being in 4,500 stores, sick, right? That's right around what we're in. And almost 35, 40% of those are your new account with Target. Now, Target is a mammoth, right? There's a lot of mammoths out there. Target's a big behemoth. How did you land Target? And how did you manage? A lot of people don't know this, is when Target reaches out to you, they generally want to do maybe a test of a certain amount of stores. Similar to I went into 70% of stores at the start. Then now we're in chain wide. Y'all went chain wide out of the gate. How did you get in contact with Target, and how did you manage to pull a chain wide rollout of a new product? Because that is not normal.
No, it's not normal. So it's a long time though. So like people don't realize like it didn't just happen snap of a finger.
Well, they're like, we want to bring you in June of next year.
So we went through. So I'll never forget. Target's one of my favorite retailers. I love all of our retailers, to be honest with you. They're great partners. But, as a Canadian coming to the US, when you go to a Target, it's like, we don't have them there, right? So you're like, oh, this is cool. It's different, right? And we also don't have where I live, we don't have Whole Foods. So I have that same feeling there, and Sprouts. But I'll never forget, when I said to my team members, I was like, we got to get into Target. That's got to be a goal. Because that's
love Target.
They love it. And it's also a way to like, not just win at the independents. This is winning at conventional. It's basically the transition from like premium stores to like the typical conventional store. It's like, I find it's on the middle side of that. It's like a mix of both, right? And I'll never forget, we had a call with this guy named Ryan Rogers. I'll never forget. He's a legend, big beard. And it was an initial Target call. It was just to get like introduction. And we worked with a broker named Moscow Group. They're phenomenal, by the way. At least for us, they've been absolutely phenomenal. And they got us this call, and I was freaking. I was like, oh my God, I got to be on this call. I told my sales team, I need to be there. This is my dream come true. And I'll never forget, we got on the call, and Ryan's on the call, and he's like stiffed up, ready to go. And then his beard is just so epic. And I'm like, dude, I've been trying to grow a beard like that. That was the first thing I said, forever. And then, bro, the 45-minute call was just about the beards. And we connected him and I right off the bat. And he was our buyer, and he brought in our competitor, Perfect Bar.
So the beard guy is the Target buyer?
He was.
Okay.
And we built a relationship. We started texting all the time. We jammed. Like, we just had vibes. Like, it was just, when you're a friend.
Your other coworkers are like, shut the fuck up about his beard.
Yeah, they're telling me, shut the fuck up. They're like, we're not getting through our pricing. We're not getting through our promo planning, all this shit. I was like, fuck that. I was like, who cares?
What oils does he use?
Yes, what oils? How do you get it so big? And anyways, Ryan Rogers, legend. And him and I started becoming friends. We see each other's shows. We'd hang out. We'd go out for a beer. And it wasn't even about Target. It was just him and I were friends.
Yeah.
And then things got a little more serious in terms of, okay, let's bring you in type of thing. And this was like months of work.
Yeah.
And we just weren't ready. We weren't ready for Target. Like I was telling my team, like it would hurt our manufacturing because at the time it wasn't fully automated at all. We didn't have the right budgets to support it. So I was like, we kind of got to delay. And Ryan was delaying it. And then Ryan told me one day, I'll never forget, called me. He's like, Jake, I have moved on and I'm no longer with Target. And we had no deal or anything.
And then I went, I thought you were going to say, I shaved my beard.
He didn't shave his beard. He looks fucking epic. The guy, you got to meet this guy first of all. If you ever want to go to, I think he lives in Minneapolis. But so he told me, he's like, I'm leaving. I was like, first thought was like, shit, we're not going to get to Target.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, I love this guy. It's like we're friends. Like, fuck, he's still a homie of mine. And he's going to help whatever he can. He's like, I left a very good note about Midday Squares and how I want them in Target to the next buyer. And we didn't know who the next buyer was. And then we found out it was this lady named Mary Carmen. And Mary Carmen is a star. So I was nervous. We were in Vegas, my partners and I, and this is again months later, right? And we were getting another introduction call to this buyer. So you basically restart from zero.
And you started talking about her beard.
No, she didn't have a beard. But what I do remember is we were in a hotel room, my partners and I and our VP of sales. And I'll never forget, we opened up, it was 7 a.m. and it was really early. And we started to do a catwalk to open the call up. We didn't even say hi. We just said, get up and you're going to do a catwalk. And she started dancing with us on the screen. And we knew from that moment that she is a rock star.
Yeah.
She is a human. She does not just care about business, but she cares about building relationships. And then we started becoming friends with her. And then she created a date on when we can maybe get this to happen. And then Moscow Group started, our brokers started really making the magic happen. And Mary Carmen was really supportive. Like, I couldn't even tell you, like, I felt like I was best friends with these people. And I am. And then this is the best part. We finally get the deal and we don't know how many stores it is. She signs the deal and we know that it's going to be going out in September of this year, 2022. And in August 4th, I went down to Phoenix where she lived to meet her finally in person, to hang out and just like celebrate that we actually signed a deal with Target. And we get there. This is the fucked story. We get to Phoenix. I land and the email comes in and it says that Mary Carmen has now moved desks to Delhi.
No!
I was like, what the fuck? I was like, fuck. So then I was like, is she still coming to dinner today? Like, I flew all the way here just to see and hang out with her and our brokers. And she did. And then she brought the new buyer, whose name is Stacy. And Stacy is such a rock star. And then I had the dinner. We spent time and we realized that fitness is a passion of both of ours. And again, friendship first, business later. And then we found out 1,700 stores were going in a nationwide launch. And I'll never forget, like, even to this day, I'm on text and Instagram with these people. And what I do is what's important about for anyone is having a rainmaker in a company is extremely important, because a rainmaker, again, doesn't have necessarily KPIs or anything. So I don't have agendas. So for me, I wanted to be friends with Stacy. She's a super amazing human, and we built that friendship.
Yeah.
We also have a business relationship, but that's also my sales team's doing that. So when she needs the promo planning done or she needs this done, they're getting that done. Me, I'm a vibe. I just dance and have fun. That type of relationships actually drive business. And I always tell people, show up, get on a fucking plane, go to where they are, go hang out and have no agenda. And that's how you'll get into different retailers, whether that be Walmart, the Costco's, Target. But I think Target's really friendly and very fun. And yeah, we went nationwide 2 weeks ago. It arrived in all the stores and we're seeing the numbers and they're good.
That's
really
amazing,
good.
Man. I remember when I saw the story of it going in there, I go into my Target 6 times a week because it's right next to my house. And I started this thing online. I call skew the data. I'm like, let's pad the stats. And it's like this funny thing I started on my social of like, hey guys, like, make sure you like, we got to show Target. We're crushing it. Let's buy all y'all buy bags and we'll like skew the data. And it turned into this meme that I get tagged 50 times a day of people skewing the data, and it's working. We're skewing the data. It
drives sales.
It does. And something you said that resonated with me when you said like, we want to go into Target, but we weren't ready, and you kept pushing it back. And then I think I'm assuming you guys maybe went through the same mindset. I remember that I went through that fear as well. And the moment that you finally go like, we just got to fucking do it. And when you do something that seems so like, we're not gonna be able to handle this. This is gonna be so like uncomfortable for us. It's gonna be big. How are we gonna fill these orders? How are we gonna do that? You just find the way.
And you do it.
You figure it out. And then when the dust settles, all the bars have shipped, you go, oh, man, if I can do that, I'm ready for the next big thing. Because now, like, the next thing, I'm going to be like, man, if we can handle that, we can handle anything.
It's momentum.
Yeah.
I'll always say momentum leads to more momentum. And I'll never forget when the product shipped out, I was like, shit, the next thing is now we got to move the product.
Yeah.
And what's good about your product is your shelf life's a little longer than ours. So you could have product there. Ours is 90 to 110 days, 120 days.
I'm stressed for you.
Yeah. So we have to move volume right off the bat. So like, right now, a strategy we did to Target is obviously we used our own community, our base to do kind of like what you did, the skew the data type of thing.
I know.
It works.
Seen, yeah,
it works.
It does.
It actually works. And that's one way. The second way was we started engaging TikTokers to start driving traffic to retail. And it's actually started this week and we're seeing it move. We're seeing people post about it. We're seeing TikTok activate. That's great too. And then the third thing is we have a guy named Bobby Parrish. You know, he's a YouTuber.
No.
He's called Fav City. He moves volume at retail. When he goes in, he clears out our Whole Foods shelves all the time in terms of the country. And I think that once you find these influencers to kind of go on board with you or creators, let's call them, they actually drive retail revenue. And I think that having that strategy aligned with your base moving in on there, I think you can become the number one velocity product in your set, no problem, over time. It's not going to come in one day, but it might take 6 months. And that's our goal. We want to be the number one selling refrigerated snack at Target. Perfect Bar is currently the number one. And great product, don't get me wrong.
I was about to go, boo!
No, they created the set, so kudos to them. But we know the gap that we have to close there. And that's all we're focused on is what do we need to do to not cannibalize their sales, but to add value to the basket of the entire set. Our product's very different than their product. They're a protein bar. We're a chocolate bar that has function. So there's different use cases, which is exciting. So we're like, when you look at the data, you're seeing that people buy a Perfect Bar and a Midday Square. So when you do that, you're actually elevating the entire refrigerator instead of cannibalizing because most companies just tried to copy them.
Yeah.
And then when they copied them, they just stole sales from them. And that actually devalued the set more. So yeah, that's another way if you're launching a business, anyone's listening, is try to tell your buying team or whoever you're pitching to is show them that you actually are incremental to the set you're going to. In candy, if you're going to a candy set, yeah, you might be taking some business from the typical giants, but at the end of the day, like you still are adding, maybe they're buying both. Maybe they're doing that. That gives more revenue to that set. That's what they're looking for.
That's what the buyers want.
That's what they want. So it's like, get that narrative and tell it.
I get stressed for you because the refrigerated thing and the shorter shelf life. Now, let me ask you, is in the future for Midday Squares, a preservative, non-refrigerated version?
So we like the refrigerator. We actually want to keep owning that entire refrigerator. We eventually want to go into basically having like the shelf in the refrigerator. Perfect Bar owns like basically 2 shelves of the refrigerator.
Is Perfect Bar the one with the peanut on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They do over $150 million a year. I could be completely
just
off.
as a business.
As a business.
Okay. I thought you were saying in Target. I was like,
no,
what?
no, that would be great. That would be wild. They do a lot in Target though. But yeah, so for us, it's like, do we ever want to test maybe a natural preservative like algae or something? Maybe.
I have some growing on the back of my pool. You can just take that if you want it. I'll ship it up to Canada, dude.
Yeah, to test. There's some stuff like that's actually really good for you. But again, we like that the differentiation of being in the refrigerator helps because if you go to the bar set, you go into the store, there's 1,000 bars. It's like you look like you get a headache when you go in there. So you're typically just going for the one that and you're grabbing that one consistently because you don't want to look. You're too lazy to look, So for us, this gives us a whole new set that's this functional set. And I believe they're going to start to move it from the sections it's in to more the cash, which is like we're seeing it slowly happen over time. Conventional retailers are starting to take those fridges that usually have like sodas, has like chips in the front there and turning into these things. And that helps. That drives the impulse buy that's grabbing that customer that wants to be healthier. And I know we have different customer bases necessarily, but for us, again, like we just want to take over that confection space where they have their typical space in retail and we want to offer a better snack.
Are you in the same category as like a Hershey bar?
No.
You're not because you're refrigerated?
We're refrigerated. We're part of a functional bar set. That being said, like we consider ourselves a chocolate company. Like I always tell people, like people are naive. They tell us no. They're always like, oh, you're more a snack bar company. No, we're dark chocolate. We're 87% dark chocolate. But this is a chocolate product that has protein and fiber, not the other protein bar that is chocolate. That's very different. And the big guys don't think that we're a chocolate company. So for them, they're like laughing more or less. They're like, you're a snack bar.
Well, the chocolate companies are laughing, but they're also sending you guys letters because you've gotten sued by Hershey's and you were public about this. about a cease and desist
Yeah.
because of the color that you were going to originally would do, which is funny because here's how, your storytelling actually helped someone else protect their business, because I want to tell you. So first, why don't you say why you got the cease and desist, and then I'll tell my story.
Yeah, so Hershey's, I'm a big fan. I'm actually a big fan of their brand. Like I think they built a legacy company, and Milton Hershey 70 years ago, wherever it was there hustling his way through and had that emotional connection. They have an amusement park, they have all these things, right? So that's the first context I want to give. The second thing is basically we were in talks with them in 2021 for an acquisition. Actually, their
After
M&A
3
team.
years.
Yeah, 3 years, and we weren't doing that much revenue. We were doing $10 million or a run rate of 10 million at that time, and they were just very interested. They're like, you guys are doing something different. You're building a fan base, and they whatever. So we talked for 3 conversations or whatever it was, 2 or 3 conversations, and they wanted to acquire, and we just weren't interested. Our company, we don't want to sell it right now. That's not our interest. We're building this right now to be long term. And after that, everything was fine in the conversations. Like they liked the product. They actually really liked this orange flavor.
Now you're never getting an acquisition from Hershey's after everything you do.
No, so then 2 months later, they sent us a season assist for the color orange, claiming that we cannot use our orange anymore. And we're like, yo, are you serious? We're all Gucci and talking and cuddly and all this stuff. And then I was like, hey, well, if we were to go to court, what would it cost? And the court fees would have been between like 2 and 5 million, because they would have dragged it.
What?
Yes, because we would have fought. We actually want to fight for the color. But
you just don't have the
no one has the money. No one has the money or energy for that. So then I said, what's our strength? I said to our team, what's our strength? And they go, I don't know. And I was like, we're going to fucking tell the story, and we're going to show the irony of acquisition talk to then season assist, to then having to change our package in 2 weeks, to then what are we doing? And that's what we did. We shared the story, and then that turned into like the community went wild for it.
Now you're like, we're going to support it even more. And so I don't know if people know. So Hershey's has their Reese's orange, that thing you see in the Reese cup. It's trademarked. It says the color is trademarked. And at first, I couldn't wrap my head around that. I was like, how can someone trademark a color? I understand why they do it, because generally the reason people would use that is so that people would associate this is like a Reese's because it's like this color. Even if you're not really trying to, you're just like, that's why people use this color. And your story about how you changed the color, my friends own a protein bar company called Anabar, and they just came out with this like chocolate cookie crunch with like little Reese's pieces like in it, right? But he showed me the packaging right before it was about to go into production, and it was that color. And I was like, I was like, change the color right now. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, change the color of that box. You will get a cease and desist. I was like, trust me, there's this Canadian company. Yeah. They got it. I was like, did
they change it?
They did.
Yes.
He did. I was like, I'm saving you on this.
But when we changed it, we ended up doing that video, and then we did a music video, diss track, saying that we are Midday Scripts, we're not Hershey, we don't want to be you. And it blew up.
You did an Eminem diss track.
Yes. My name is what?
I'm a big. We
probably could have got in trouble for that too, by the way.
That's all right, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like the world's biggest Eminem fan. So I really like that.
But dude, that was fun. Then it blew up, and all these media channels picked it up, and then we ended up launching in the United States from it even more. Like it helped. It ended up, and till this day, I was on this Forbes 30 under 30 summit last weekend or 2 weeks ago, and they brought that up, and everyone was going crazy for it. They're like, "Oh my god, you made a diss track!" And till this day, this story's still going on from this experience, and we've actually signed a deal with Hershey's that they agreed to the color that we've chosen. And I actually sat on a panel with the head of the M&A months later, and we made peace, and we shook hands, and he's like, I actually liked the music video. I was like, well, why don't you answer with one then? Instead of the legal, why don't you just come up with a creative music video? They're like, that's never going to happen here.
We'll talk later, because I was in talks with the M&A people at Hershey's too. I wonder if it's the same people that I was talking with.
Yeah, well, we could do that after conversation.
Yeah. Just we don't say names on here, but that's crazy, man. It's from the acquisition attempt to the lawsuit to changing it to triumph. So it's like, dude, fuck, the color ain't making or breaking our bar.
If your colors, if your product's making or breaking as a color, then you aren't in business. Because,
you're doing the wrong thing.
And that's why I told my partners, I said, guys, who cares? I said, we could still use a different Pantone. And even if we disagree, great. We all disagree with them. That's fine. We could write a letter saying we disagree, which we did.
Move on.
Yeah, moveon.com. And the product's what sells. It's not, and you said packaging before. I think packaging is important. Don't get me wrong. but it's not everything. Your
Yeah.
product, people try your product. When I tried your sour strips just now, I've had them before, but when I just had it now, I want more now. I want more because it's fucking good. It's tasty.
That's because I put crack in there.
Yeah, because you put crack, but that's what's getting me come back. Your packaging's great, fuck. But I'm buying because I like the fucking product. I like you.
Yeah.
It's two big reasons.
I'm a cool guy. You should like me. And now with your potential of going into a lawsuit there, you mentioned that it would cost a lot of money. Now, speaking of money, you guys have gone down the path of raising capital for your business. How much money have you raised to date?
Yeah. So first of all, I always tell people, I don't necessarily love raising money. So I think that
because you dilute.
Yeah, exactly.
Your percentage.
Exactly. So unless you're really going for massive outcomes, then that's the reason why we had to raise is because we wanted the fast growth.
Yes.
And to fuel that growth alongside building a factory that was, again, we got debt funded by the government. We needed to support the growth to be able to push the factory to keep moving and keep people employed, right? So the growth money we received was from Boulder Food Group, which is a great fund, City Capital, an amazing partner, and then some individuals that are very wealthy families. And we've raised about 17.5 million to date from that, and then 4 million from the government. So that's what we've raised to date.
Does the government own a percentage of your company?
No. Fuck that. Fuck that. But yeah, no, we owe them money. But the good news is it's very inexpensive debt.
So you started the business in 2018?
August 4th, 2018.
Okay. And when in the business did you just start? When did you take your first capital raise?
A year and 2 months in.
Okay.
And we raised about 2.5 million from Boulder Food Group being the lead investor, and then some individuals. And the reason why they took a chance on us because we had some good revenue, but they loved the idea of that we're building this like media company within the chocolate company, and that they didn't believe that the manufacturing would work. They actually were like, we'll take a bet on this.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yeah, it's a bold strategy. And they're like, we don't love it, but it seems like it could be cool if your story makes sense and at scale, this is what it's going to be. There's a lot of money there. Like our margins can get to, and I don't know if your guys' margins in the candy space is a little different, but in ours,
they're shit.
Yeah, we can get to 61% gross margin after trade.
In retail?
Scale. Yeah.
What?
At scale.
Okay.
But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But this was the theories that we were telling them, and that's why they invested. And then we had to raise more money because we had to go grow and support growth, so hire more people on the team. We have a big team, right? And then we raised a second round at 4.5 million, and then we did a round last year with City Capital leading it, SIDDHI. They're amazing for operations. They're very focused on operational excellence, and we raised 10 million from them. So. That's trust me, do I want to dilute more? No, but we needed the capital to go out and get the infrastructure built properly to experience the rocket ship growth that we want to experience.
I remember watching your video because again, I watch all your guys' content, so I see everything. So I remember when you did the 10,000 capital raise, and by the way, I'm hopefully everyone goes and checks out everything by Midday Squares, but I would highly advise y'all to go check out not only their Instagram, their Reels, and their YouTube channel. Your storytelling, especially you, like your voice, the commentary you'll do, like it's excellent stuff. And when you did like the $10 million capital raise, I mean, that was a very captivating story that I'm watching of the struggles of y'all were, I don't want to say getting down to the last penny, but you were in a bind.
We were.
And you like really needed this money, and then you raise, I guess there's pros and cons to raising money versus bootstrapping, right? If you're going for the fast growth, or you've kind of grown too fast and you need to maintain it, you have to raise capital. Is it something that you're going to continue to want to raise, or do you have like, hey, once we get to 20 million, like we got to cap it there? Or is it because I know some brands that have raised $160 million and they're a big brand, but the owners own like 4% of their company and the investors own everything. And you essentially you have to get a $1 billion exit, and you're going to get a pretty payout, but like you have to get that massive exit.
Yeah, no, dude, you're right. We don't want to continue to raise, to be honest with you. And I think we're going to do one more big one. So like probably a $30 million raise. And yeah, in about 12 to 18 months. And the goal for that is to get us to this margin that we just discussed before.
Well, because the more money you raise, you're able to lower it. So you're able to start making more money as you take on more money. It's
yes. And then when we have more cash printing in, it's like, let's say we're doing 100 million and you have a 60% gross margin, you're bringing 60 back to the company. And then obviously it has to go through a bunch of expenses, all that shit. But that's a lot of fucking money.
Yes.
And then your company is worth a lot because you're profitable, you're driving tremendous growth, and you have your infrastructure built. So like, that's the raise that we're doing next. It's the last one I'd like to do, other than if we want to take the company public. And what I mean by that is, in Canada, the version of the New York Stock Exchange, we have the TSX, and we presented them actually 2 days ago. And they're very supportive for CPG companies going public. Actually, the banks get behind it, which is a very good way to liquidate your investors that are currently if they want to be liquidated,
right.
And B, actually raise boatloads of money. And I'm talking like not 30, you could probably raise 50 to 100, and that can allow you to go grow. But the thing is you need to be able to see a vision that will get you to the $1 billion valuation or get you to the growth that you can be. You can't just bullshit your way through there. So there's a lot of paths. And like, for us, it's like, okay, like what happens if we build this company at $200 million in revenue? What does it look like? Like what does a chocolate company look like that's doing 200 million in today's world that has a fucking fan base that's strong? I haven't seen it. You've seen brands do 200 million in food, don't get me wrong, new brands. But do they have really fan bases, or they're just commodity based and people are buying them and all that stuff? Or Kellogg's buys them and then pumps them up to 300 million.
When I think of huge brands that are doing massive numbers, like what I think of is like a vitamin water had 50 Cent as the face, but again, that's not the same thing.
It's not the same thing, but they did a lot of money, right? So that's the curiosity that the three of us have, my partners and I, is what happens at that level? Is it that they all get swooped up into acquisition, or can you keep going potentially? Because I'm having too much fun. I don't know about you, but I'm having too much fun. I get to travel the world every week. I get to meet the coolest people. I get to be on a podcast like this. We get to have fun. Obviously, there's lots of pain. There's a ton of pain. There's a lot of loneliness, in my opinion, from entrepreneurship. My buddies and I, like, I haven't seen them that much, and like, I'm literally, even my girlfriend, I go home and I'm exhausted, bro. I'm actually fucking exhausted. Like, I get home Sunday. It's Friday night right now. I get home Sunday at like 5 p.m., but I'm on a flight for 8 hours then. I get home, I don't want to talk. And that creates this personal vibe that I have to commit to. And it's just like, I think people as entrepreneurs or whatever, it's a crazy life that isn't as glamorous as people think it is, but it's a lot of fucking freedom and it's a lot of fun once you're on that ride, in both good or bad times, because I find it amazing the stuff that I get to experience that a lot of people around me don't get to experience, and I think that that's the payoff or the sacrifice that you want to call for what we're going through. But I don't know, man, like I want to keep doing this for at least next 10 years.
Yeah. And one of the numbers you mentioned on there was, you mentioned the 200 million, but you mentioned, when we get to the 100 million. Now, your buddy Nick, brother-in-law, he's on his Instagram. He's y'all are very open about, a lot of things, your numbers and everything. And he says on his Instagram that you guys are currently at $13 million. Is that what you're going to do this year?
We're going for 17.
You're going 17. Do you think you're going to hit 17?
Yeah, we should.
Okay. And you have stated to the people that in the next 24 months, you're going to get to $100 million. I want to know how you're going to do it.
So we're going to get to 100 million in terms of run rate at that time. And I think the way we're going to do it is we have a clear game plan. If we just follow, and it's going to sound really weird, but
if we just sell more bars,
if we follow what Perfect Bar did, and I don't mean copy them, because we're very different product. We respect them. They've built an infrastructure that is phenomenal for this refrigerated set. And we know the numbers that they do in different locations. If we could close the gap from what they do in the retailers that they're in, we have a clear path to the 100+ million. It's a clear path. We know exactly what they do. How they do it is we're a little different on how we do our things. But with Costco down the line coming on, with Target, with Walmart down the line one day, and Kroger one day, and then all of our independents that we have, the Whole Foods, the Sprouts, we can get there. Just from a sheer number of volume that we know the velocities are done in that set. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of building the brand. It's a lot of driving traffic to the store. And I think that we get there. Year one, we did 1 million. Year two, we did 3. Last year, we did 9. This year, we'll do 17. The growth is there. We don't have a lot of SKUs. We have 3 SKUs. We're launching a 4th one that is actually crazy good.
The cookie dough?
Yeah, I should have brought you
the yellow one, right?
Yeah, that's a candy product. It tastes like candy.
You got a mint one coming out, a green one?
No, but I would do. I love mint.
I see that. I would be all over the mint.
You remember Snickers? or
Do I
Snickers?
remember?
Yeah, they're killing it.
I still eat Snickers.
Yeah, so we're doing a very similar, not similar in terms of just like the concept, not like the product
Yeah.
copy, very different the way we manufacture it. But yeah, so we're starting to play more on nostalgia, and that with 7 SKUs, we can get to the 100 million.
Okay, well, I vote mint.
Yeah, I think that'd be like a special edition.
Maybe
Maybe a holiday. Maybe a holiday.
Mint is a year-round thing.
I
People
agree. I agree. You
not
and
a
I are
pepper, not a peppermint. You
No.
just a mint. Everyone loves mint. Mint ice cream.
maybe
mint.
it's a Texas thing.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like I like eating toothpaste. I guess that's what people call me when I.
You have it every day, twice a day. No,
I know. Yeah.
maybe with candy, you should have it 5 times a day.
I'll just put it on my toothbrush there. Well, dude, I'm excited for you to get to that to get to the 100 million. I think it. Your view on what does it look like with a audience driven, family driven, brand at a level like that. I don't know.
Neither do I. That's what but I'm so curious. And that's why I eat dog shit all day. And like what I mean by dog shit is like I eat the pain that I go through. Like I'm literally driving in an hour from now to Austin. I'm exhausted. I haven't slept.
You're driving to Austin tonight?
Yeah, like 3 a.m. You said it's 2 hours, 2 hours, 45 minutes away?
Yeah, you'll get there in under 3 hours.
Yeah, so there you go. But this is the stuff you have to do. I have to be there for the meeting tomorrow. So it's like, I kind of get amped up by that. I've taken 90 flights this year already in 2022.
You're racking up the air miles, dude.
Yeah, but the status is good, but like, I don't know how much it is to say, yeah, I have high status on Air Canada.
I can board before everyone else.
I can board before everyone. I could get an extra luggage bag, maybe a lounge access. No, but dude, yeah, just curiosity. And when you say things bold out there, like you just said, well, my partner says, 100 million in 24 months, you just don't want to let the people down at that point. It's like, fuck, you guys could just go, whatever that takes.
You put it on the wall, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. I have one more question for you to kind of
Hit it.
wrap this up. What advice do you have for other people who are interested in getting into CPG? Maybe something you thought you knew when you started that your mind shift has changed, or someone's like, I want to get into something in the CPG space. What advice do you got for me?
I think the best thing that I've noticed over the last 4 years in the CPG world, and I think it applies to every industry, is continue to be yourself every day, and follow your gut a lot of the time, because I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's right. And for me, it's like, at the beginning, we listened to everyone around us. There was so much noise and I didn't know how to block it out. And it got my distractions were going like crazy, and things weren't going well. I felt mentally horrible. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no confidence. As soon as I started to be unapologetically myself, I started to feel the wins. The wins started coming, and I started trusting my gut more, and that muscle started building more and more and more. And now my boldness has come out so much stronger. When I go into a meeting, I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm doing. I don't compare myself to anybody else. I don't compare myself to any chocolate company or Perfect Bar or any of these companies or Hershey's. I am Jake, and we are Midday Squares, and that's all. And we are unapologetically that. And if I cry on camera, that's because of who I am. That's not me making it up for drama views, And I think that people know that because they know and they feel who I am. So I think if you're going to start a CPG company or any company, have an identity and follow through with your own identity, because you're going to run into so many fucking problems if you're trying to be someone else, or you're chasing the dream of someone else, or you're comparing yourself that you didn't win this award, you didn't get on that magazine.
Yeah.
That will kill you. That will kill your business.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, man. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on here. Everyone, if you aren't aware of Midday Squares, I'm going to put all of their information, Instagram, his Instagram, website down in the description. These are available nationwide at your Target. Go grab yourself some Midday Squares. Go grab yourself some sour strips. Skew the data for both. An amazing product, amazing company, amazing founders. And it's hopefully people have really resonated with your story. I know this is a very business-driven type of podcast, but this is the stuff that really people are going to wish they listened to more, as they get older and start to kind of want the journey, go on their own journey, man. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap up episode number 25 of Don't Be Sour. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're listening on any sort of podcast streaming platform, leave us a 5-star review. That will be it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Eat more sour strips and Midday Squares, and ever forward. Peace.
That was great, bro. Oof.
Solid.
Killed it, bro.
I'm
Killed
excited.
it. Yeah, dude, it was awesome. Oh, fuck, man.
Dude, I got an energy drink. You can take like 4 energy drinks to